Hello and welcome to another edition of USEA's Global Briefing. My name is Melissa Brown and I'm a Senior Program Coordinator here at USEA. And today I am joined by Mr. Zviad Gachecheladze, the Director of Organized Market Development and Electricity Accounting at the Georgian State Electro System. How are you?
Thank you very much, Melissa. How about you?
I'm doing good, thank you so much. So historically, Georgia has served as the vital bridge of the ancient Silk Road. Now that we're in the 21st century, how is Georgia using this strategic position to enable the energy trade on oil, natural gas, and electricity?
Yeah, this is about Georgian history. It's a little bit to also talk about it. For centuries, Georgia connected east and west through international trading routes, north and south through strategic location and Caucasus gateways that Georgia was holding. So we used to be cross-border road of different cultures, civilizations, empires that had its cost and benefits. We can still argue about it, but so historically it is in our nature and genetic code to be part of world trading routes as well as international connections, interesting place for our culture, authentic culture, and etc. So today it was a little bit about history, but today that role is even more increased because Georgia now is using its unique position to become a reliable energy and transit corridor between Caspian and Black Sea regions to Europe, connect Europe and Asia at a greater scope. So oil and natural gas from the Caspian Basin already moving to Georgia to international markets via major project, very important project like Baku-Tbilisi-Ceyhan oil pipelines. Everybody knows about it. Baku-Supsa oil pipeline with port terminal at Lexikos and Southern Gas Corridor. These projects are strategically very important because they created at that time and still doing the same alternative and secure routes for energy supplies to Europe and not only Turkey as well. And Georgia itself. At the same time, Georgia now is becoming more active in electricity trade. The country has strong hydropower potential, renewable potential, and increasing interconnections with neighbors, including Turkey and the European Union as well. One of the most ambitious projects now, which is under preparation, is Black Sea Submarine Cable project, which will connect South Caucasus to European side. So we can assume that this is regional project. This is not Georgian project, but we are happy to be leader of the project. Beyond pipelines and cables, Georgia is also investing in ports, railways, logistic infrastructure to strengthen the wider middle corridor concept and to connect Central Asia to Europe. So in many ways, Georgia is continuing its historic role, not only as a crossroad of trades and culture, but also as an important connector for energy security and regional cooperation, even in 21st century.
Oh, yes. And you talk about recent history. Last year, President Trump brokered a historic peace agreement between Armenia and Azerbaijan. And with this came the establishment of the Trump Route for International Peace and Prosperity, or TRIP. How does Georgia view TRIP given its strategic and historic role in this region?
Oh, this was great news, and indeed, recently it was great turn over what happened in our region. That is for the better future, right? So Georgia sees initiatives like TRIP as a chance to strengthen regional peace, economic development, to share prosperity between South Caucasus countries Georgia always supported this process, and we are happy to see reduced tension, to open new economic possibilities. This is very important for our region. So we are happy to have peace in our region. Georgia has played historically a key role in regional connectivity and did a lot for our neighbors and also Europe to diversify energy and transport routes. For many years, Georgia was one who supported Armenia not to be isolated, and even now most goods to and from Armenia are transported through Georgia. All right, so we have to learn, build peace and common economy in our region, support each other and share prosperity. For instance, like in Scandinavia or in Baltics and other modern regions. In simple words, we have to find ways supporting each other to live better. Because more stable region means faster trade, stronger energy security, and increases investment and etc. So many are aware that Georgia is right now building Anaklia, new deep sea port at the Black Sea. So we will definitely look for additional goods and traffic. Overall, Georgia's role as a reliable transit and the logistic hub will only become more important and stronger with TRIP projects.
Oh, yes. And as America celebrates 250 years of independence this year, we're also proud of our strategic partnership with the energy sector of Georgia. How has the U.S. Energy Association's cooperation in Georgia helped it to reform and attract new investment in the energy sector?
Oh, we can talk a lot about USDA support to Georgia, and I don't think that one postcard will be that one interview will be enough for that because USDA really did a lot to support Georgia and the region in general. So the support translated into energy transformation, improved standards, regulatory framework over decades. We witnessed Georgia's energy transformation from short, weak, dependent system to more self-sufficient, modern, and export-oriented right now. But ambitions are even bigger now because decades ago, for instance, when USDA entered Georgia to support, we were struggling for old Soviet infrastructure rehabilitation and for 24-hour electricity supply possibility. If you can imagine, we didn't have that possibility. Right now, we work on discovery of new sources in oil and gas, on electricity supply to Europe, which is not so close, it's not bordering, so there's quite long distance. Electricity storage development, wind and solar, which was not imaginable at that time, and other emerging technologies. So, energy sector of Georgia right now takes third place in direct foreign investment among all sectors, which make this sector very unique. And without direct investments, foreign investments, and international support, we would not be able to reach what we achieved. Definitely, we can acknowledge USDA direct and indirect role into that, and I'm living, alive witness of that with that quite long working experience in Georgian regulator, GNERC in my past working, let's say, place, because I remember it was very interesting for me personally to participate into platforms at the same time run by USDA. It was Lexi Regulatory Initiative, BSRI, and Lexi Transmission Project, BSTP. All regional TSOs, regulators, and ministries knows about this project very well. And such kind of international coordinated platforms are precisely what gives infrastructure investors and finance institutions the technical confidence to commit the capital. So there were much more. It's quite a lot, and it's not overwhelming list what USDA with US support, financial support did in Georgia, but we can mention several of them. The wide area monitoring system, WAMS, CAPE software implementation. This is about relay protection and modeling, which costed more than 1 million. Remedial action scheme implementation, DigSilent, which is absolutely very amazing software implemented not only in TSO but also in DSO, distribution system operator level, which supported TSO, DSO data and model exchange, PSSC, Power System Simulator for engineering. It was implemented in 2005, and I remember I was a young engineer, and I was the one of them, among few employees of GSE who first started to work with PSSC in 2005. There were several other supports, including Black Sea submarine cable pre-feasibility, but I especially would like to underline Turkey-Georgia inter-TSO cooperation and market platform integration project implemented recently in 2024, which created the cross-border trade, data exchange, cybersecurity, and etc. dialogue between two TSO. And project established the business model and IT framework for inter-TSO compensation between Georgia and Turkey, and enabled wider and sustainable communication between GSE and TEIAŞ, which even now is progressing. Right now, that's why it's sustainable. It did not stop. Even when the project is over, USDA project, we continue that following that agenda and without any external support right now. So taking all this together, this contribution, that grid resilience, cybersecurity, market issue, support of flagship infrastructure project, this ultimately materially strengthens Georgia's position as transparent and reform-oriented energy market, capable of engaging credibly with European partners and attract private sector investments in Georgian energy sector.
Great. And building on that, USDA has been instrumental in supporting the Black Sea submarine cable project, which entered a critical seabed survey phase in early 2026. How will this electric bridge fundamentally change the physics of Georgia's grid, allowing it to export energy directly to the European Union?
Yeah, indeed, USDA support was quite key part over the course of development of this project, and USDA supported us in pre-feasibility study and did a really wonderful technical assessment, which then helped us to move forward. So a little bit to recall history, how it was GSE who applied by letter to USDA and asked to support in this very important project. And we asked dedicated subgroups under the Black Sea BSTP project that I mentioned already, and to invite also Romania side on this project. And Transelectrica, as Romanian TSO, our colleague organization, was invited and participated in this project. So that the study subsequently implemented into phases. Phase 1 was to review of HVDC technologies and steady state analysis, and phase 2, dynamic stability analysis. This technical assessment made it possible to continue the project, as this assessment found the project is feasible and technically sound. The assistance also supported better communication and cooperation between GSE and Transelectrica. So it's very important to establish that communication platform between two TSOs. And after it, it inspired two TSOs to continue work on this direction. And in 2022, we finalized. We initiated, but finalization took some period. Already detailed feasibility study. And after it, in 2020, it was over. In 2024, in 2025, we already submitted the project along with all these studies and documentation to European Commission for obtaining status of project of mutual interest, which was recently acquired because EU Commission also checked and understood the project is beneficial for European side. It improves security of supply. And right now we are in the preparation of marine studies in seabed and environmental and social impact assessment, which is very, very important for the project to close that investment phase and to move on construction phase. So just to summarize, we can assume that after Baku-Tbilisi-Ceyhan pipeline, it will be largest cross-border project for Georgia. And we are happy not only to participate but also to lead the project. This is very high tech and very complex project, not only for our regional scope but also for European and even global scope. According to its investment volume, length and depth of the submarine cable, and it will be really unique. So we should not forget that project implies construction also fiber optic cable too. So synergy with the digital transformation and digital market also is there. So Georgia and our regional power system will be absolutely different after realization of this project, which will accelerate energy reforms, market transition to EU framework, and including market coupling and direct access to European markets.
Oh, yes. And with the expansion of the Southern Gas Corridor, Georgia has been the primary hub for European energy security. How is Georgia working with U.S. technical advisors to move beyond being just a transit state to becoming a primary producer for the global market?
Indeed, as I said above, we do a lot actually we do a lot right now to be part of cross-border interconnection initiatives in all fields of energy, but we also want to support those projects not only with our historical, let's say, transit functions, but as well with our green molecules and green atoms. Such might be electricity production from renewables, green hydrogen, and etc. There are several green energy corridor projects in pipeline. Apart from Black Sea submarine cable projects, there are wider green energy corridor cooperation between Georgia, Azerbaijan, Romania, Hungary, through Black Sea, as well as Azerbaijan, Georgia, Turkey, Bulgaria cooperation on green energy transmission and trade using Turkish terrestrial routes. And all these are indeed inspired by Black Sea submarine cable project, but we really are intended to support those projects with green energy development, with green energy production, and also we have to have in mind while our potential in oil and gas is limited in green energy production, we have ambitious plans to be one of the exporters of those into those projects.
Yes, and Georgia has a very large untapped potential for hydroelectric generation, and this can help smooth out the variability of wind and solar generation in addition to producing baseload capacity. What is Georgia doing to attract new investment in hydroelectric resources, and are there opportunities for American companies?
Yeah, that's very actual topic in Georgia. We see integration of more and more renewables, which is good, but more and more challenging. Right now, we monitor a little bit tendency to shift of renewable developers and interest from hydro resources to more wind and solar. That is a little bit novelty for us, for our dispatchers, for our operators. Our big hydros with storages are still considered as a strategic project for Georgia, cornerstone of our power development, and definitely will require and will receive state involvement and greater support through various mechanisms. So we can still keep this direction as very strategic. While wind and solar can develop by more itself by more private driven that mechanisms and investments. Right now we have utilized around only 20% of our hydro, and I can assume also wider renewable potential. By 2032, according to our 10-year development plan, and according also that negotiations and allocations of renewable connections that we already see in Georgia, installed capacity will double, mostly from renewables, and it will be quite well distributed between wind, solar, and hydro. We already conducted 3 auctions for renewable capacity for all technologies. More than 11 gigawatt of renewable application were submitted for CFD mechanisms, and right now we are in the process of evaluating and selecting most optimal and realistic ones. Right now, we see no much problems in investing in renewables in Georgia. More it's accommodation, management, and marketing, for which we need enhanced regional and European interconnectivity. Without better interconnections, it will be very hard to accommodate in smaller markets. Therefore, we continue market reforms and legislative alignment with EU and etc. As regards to US companies, they have no barriers at all to enter Georgian market and regional markets as investors, as consultants, as technology vendors, and even as EPC contractors. Furthermore, Georgia, as you may know, has been leader over years in doing business easiness ranking of the World Bank. I give you also several examples of US business appearance in Georgian energy sector. For instance, we use General Electrics and Pratt & Whitney turbines in the combined cycle power plants in Georgia. Dariali Energy, the American capital, continues to play important role in the financing and operation of major hydro projects like, as I mentioned, Dariali hydropower plant. Caucasus Clean Energy Holding, operating in hydro energy production, established by American capital. And in oil and gas sector, we had quite solid cooperation as well with American companies.
Oh, yes. And recent assessments suggest Georgia could produce green hydrogen at prices competitive with Europe due to its low-cost renewable resources. Are there opportunities for U.S. firms to partner on pilot projects similar to those seen in the North Sea to create a viable hydrogen economy in the Caucasus?
This is something new for us, but we are already involved into this green hydrogen development. So, as I mentioned, more than 80% of electricity is already coming from renewables. So we can use it, and by leveraging seasonal hydro power surpluses, approximately 1.5 gigawatt hours, mostly from April to August, capable of producing 28 tons of green hydrogen, which will be further supported by estimated 3 gigawatt wind and solar potential. So right now we already working on several documents. So we already have Georgian Vision 2050, which contains already that target for development of the infrastructure. Also, now we are working on let's say green energy, let's say national green hydrogen strategy, and also policy document which already is approved by Ministry of Economy and Sustainable Development. And with this roadmap and action plan, it will include specific measures, and that will open more realistic possibility for us to start implementing pilot projects and even to participate in mega projects like Green Energy Corridor project, which besides electricity transfer, it contains also green hydrogen transfer component. Of course, US companies will be more than welcome to participate in this emerging business because American companies have huge experience in this field. In any case, private engagement is one of the most important contributors for the uptake of green hydrogen markets.
Oh, yes, and this brings us to our last question. As Georgia explores its long-term energy mix to achieve energy independence, what role do you see for other energy technologies, such as oil and potentially nuclear energy?
Yeah, that's a really very interesting direction. However, I have to say that at the time being, Georgia doesn't have a tangible, realistic, let's say, very well elaborated nuclear energy plans and strategy. We never had this in our, let's say, goals and objectives. However, it is more and more interesting for us as we see advancement of small modular units of nuclear, right? That might be suitable for Georgian scale. However, I would like to underline new developments in the field of oil and gas that is really in our focus, and that we are now conducting that field oil and gas reconnaissance. Among the companies that have operated in Georgia in this field, I have to mention that one very good notable example is the American company Anadarko. In late 2000s, Anadarko conducted exploration activities in Black Sea on Georgian offshore shelf. Also, the company later suspended its operation. The data and material produced during that period remain highly relevant today and have been used to assess the potential of offshore blocks. More recently, it might be more interesting, namely last year in PCR, when this agreement was concluded, negotiations were conducted and it was successfully concluded with representatives of American Oil and Gas Group, Aspect Holding. The company operates across US, Central Europe, Latin America, and Middle East. As a result, Texas registered company, Aspect Georgia, was established specifically to operate in Georgia's oil and gas sector. Aspect Georgia has joined an exploration project in which the state also participates, Georgian state, only as a minor shareholder. And Aspect Georgia will invest around $70 million to search for oil and gas in licensed areas on onshore block. And this discovery might become a really game changer for Georgia and the region. Also, active steps are being taken to promote Georgia's offshore block, which we believe has significant potential for oil and gas resources. While it is still too early to name specific companies, we can confirm that several reputable international companies have already expressed strong interest in Georgia offshore opportunities, and I assure you in nearest future, you will also hear some news, positive news, good news on this direction.
Well, great. Well, thank you so much, Zviad, for taking the time to join USEA's global briefing, and thank you to the Georgian Embassy for helping to set up this wonderful interview. Thank you to our listeners for joining us. And if you'd like to learn more about USEA, you can go to our website at usea.org. Thank you.